Ladies and gentlemen, now if there are moments in time that history is being made, and if you don't know that you're in that moment, you're in that moment right now. If you haven't been and haven't met one of the most powerful, concerned, convicted, true leaders, if you didn't know or missed for some reason being a part of being a place where you were invited and you just didn't pay attention to the invitation to sit down and hear where the CEOs of Walmart, Shopify, Nike were all sitting and speaking and communicating with John Hope Bryant. I'm joined by my co-host, and we want to get right into this. This was a true movement happening live. Can you share your vision and share with our audience what they have missed and what movement is happening amongst us that we need to pay attention to?
Sure. And I want to thank you guys first and foremost at Rolling Out for what you do. It is a business with a conscience, and it is a business that cares. It is a business with uncompromising principles. I've been watching and following you guys for a long time, and I'm personally a fan of what it is you guys do. And this long form format you're doing now really echoes back to a time of the 20th century where, Dr. King or Stokely Carmichael or, Malcolm X or whoever you follow, or Coretta Scott King, whoever, male and female, would be able to do an hour, 30 minutes, an hour on a major broadcast. Now it's, I do media all the time. It's 2 minutes, it's 3 minutes, it's 5 minutes. I can do it. It's no problem. But our community needs things unpacked. Life's too complicated these days. And I want to thank you guys for providing this framework. As I've said earlier, I think we're sitting in a moment in history, but history doesn't feel historic when you're sitting in it. It just feels like another day. But that doesn't mean the moment that we're sitting in is not in fact historic. And I think that what I'm trying to do is to suggest gently but strongly that Black folks need to upgrade our software. That doing the same thing over and over again is probably the definition of insanity. And we have not upgraded our software from that which delivered what I call the second Reconstruction, civil rights in the 60s. The first Reconstruction was after the Civil War, in my opinion. And that we had a year in 1866 that felt like 100 years for our ancestors because it was massive freedom after 246 years of slavery. Unfortunately, Lincoln was killed, and Frederick Douglass wasn't enough, and Sojourner Truth and Madam C.J. Walker and all these play heroes and sheroes, that it wasn't enough. And Bill Clinton once told me, President Clinton once told me, who spoke at the forum, it's hard to get somebody to agree to the truth when the lie is paying their paycheck. And the lie had paid the paycheck for the Confederate region and the southern states for 300 years. They weren't going to give up easy or quick. And Reconstruction ended. And we took 100 years for Dr. King and Dr. Dorothy Height and Andrew Young, my mentor, Ambassador Andrew Young, to emerge with a movement that finished what they had started with the first Reconstruction, which was civil liberties, civil rights, social access. I mean, you think about it, Dr. King gave his life to take down a whites only sign in 1968. I mean, that's within our parents' lifetime. It's 2 years before I was born. To take down a whites only sign, like not to start a new Rolling Out, not to create a generation of Black business owners, not to create a generation of Black capitalists, Black philanthropists, nothing major, massive, just to take down a whites only sign. And that was the second Reconstruction. It was about a getting moment, getting middle-class incomes, getting jobs, getting the vote, getting access. We moved from a surviving world to a thriving world. But then I think we rocketed backwards. And now too many of us have a surviving mentality, which is that we're an expert in what we're against and not what we're for. In a world hooked on what we're for, we need a winning mentality. So I think we're in a third Reconstruction now. This era we're in right now, that 2020 brought on, is a third Reconstruction. It's about economics and ownership and empowerment and wealth creation. And I think you can create a measure of social justice. I'm not getting around to answering your question. A measure of social justice through economic empowerment. And that was what the conference was about. The conference was a statement saying, we have protested in the streets, and that gave us civil rights, justice. Fantastic. We still need that. We have got, though, to transition from just protesting in the streets to a business plan that gets us into the C-suites. We've got to start talking about class and poverty and how to eliminate that and create generational wealth and replace the color green with the color black and white, and, as our Jewish friends have done, and not just keep talking and obsessing about black and white. And by the word white, and I put this in my new book, Up From Nothing, which came out a month ago, the word white is a made-up word from the early 1600s. White people made it up. It didn't exist in Europe, didn't exist in the Middle East, didn't exist in Asia, didn't exist for thousands of years, didn't exist. They made it up for economic reasons. We can get into that if you want to. And I unpacked the story in my book, but it was made up to separate poor whites and poor blacks, who are both indentured servants in the early 1600s. And it was designed to take poor whites who ran away with blacks as indentured servants together. It gave the whites 2 more years of indentured servitude and gave the black a life sentence. That was the beginning of slavery. And it told the poor white guy, you're white like us. We're the rich dudes. You aren't rich like us, but you're white like us. And that created this ridiculous 400-year-old argument we're still in. And you got poor white, most ridiculous thing I can think about is poor white people and poor black people in a fight. Over what? Why? I mean, we got more in common than we got that separates us. I would argue, I'll shut up now. I'd argue that there's more poor whites in America than poor anybody else. People don't know that. I'd argue, though the poster child for poverty is white people, not black people. I'd argue that poor whites protested and even rioted at the ballot box 4 years ago. Like we're protesting and rioting on the streets now. We just riot and protest in different ways. And I think that neither one of them are effective. My poor white friends are finding that their strategy wasn't all that effective. Screaming and hollering and throwing rocks at somebody doesn't make you any wealthier. Blaming your neighbor doesn't put your kid through college. In fact, the Bible says the house divided cannot stand. That's biblical. I mean, it's math. Like if you're going in different directions, and if you're the same physical entity, but you're going in different directions, how can you succeed? You're working against yourself. We have got to realize we are one country. And the only people who benefit from us cutting each other into pieces is China and Russia and North Korea, who wants to be us. Anyway, I got way beyond your question, but I'm making a business case for Black America, not a charity case. That's the short answer to your question. I think that we're a $1 trillion consumer spending force, but I'm making the case we could be a $10 trillion business ownership force. That's why we did the deal with Shopify. That's one of many things coming, and we can talk about that a little bit in our discussion. We got to do more. We got to be PhDs and PhDs too. We can be bilingual, walk and talk and chew gum at the same time, right? We can do more than protests. We can partner. We can have prosperity. We can agree.
No, I think that my co-host and I understand, and I think it's important that we have dialogue. And I think that you said it. It's a 3-minute mentality. How can you unpack where you are when you're not even doing a math problem? This is a problem with math. You're not paying attention to the math. You're approaching your life like it's a movie. It is not a movie. Not if you leave your children in poverty.
Everything's math. Everything's math. Slavery was math. I mean, you name it. People say, "Oh, I don't like capitalism. I want to work for the government." Where do you think the government gets its money from? Oh no, I don't like capitalism and rich people. I hate rich people. No, that's not true. You hate rich people till you become rich. And then all of a sudden you love rich people. What you hate is a game system, which I understand. No, I want to be a socialist. Look, even if you want to distribute money like a socialist, you have to first collect it like a capitalist. I want to work for the government. What do you think? Okay, what's the percentage of government jobs in America? I love math. It doesn't have an opinion. You go, 30%, 40% of Americans work for the government. Not true. 7% of this country works for the federal government, and 4% is local, state, and federal. That's last time I checked my math, that's 11%. That means that almost 90% of every job in this country is private sector. And 100% of all legitimate wealth comes from the private sector. So why are we picketing, rioting, tearing up the private? I mean, to me, okay, the government did us wrong. Why are we tearing up private businesses in our own neighborhood? I'm getting off topic, but I just think this is what happens when you don't have a business plan, when the emotions have hijacked your reason. We've got to find a way to channel this brilliance that Black America has. We've done it twice. We channeled it in professional sports and the arts, where the rules were published and the playing field is level. And your show, your book, your magazine, I can't call you a magazine now because you're digital and everything, but your platform, 90% of the time, is amplifying the areas that we have succeeded. But you can't get 40 million, and by the way, kudos for that, but we can't have 40 million Black people trying to be T.I. I know T.I. is my boy. But by the way, T.I. is trying to be me, not literally me, but T.I. is trying to be a businessman. Everybody trying to be T.I. T.I. is trying to, every entertainer or sports figure that everybody in here watching admires, the only reason they became the ones who became billionaires, it was because they moved from sports and entertainment into the business sector. That's when the B came next to their name. It was a corporate move, a business move, a brand. So everything is math, man. You can't watch this broadcast without paying an internet bill, buying a mobile device.
I agree. But that was a phenomenal conference. I mean, probably the most powerful conversation when you say it. I mean, I don't know if Elon Musk showed up, but it was
Elon Musk.
I'm just making a joke about that. I was just saying that you had every CEO that was a CEO that touched our community there. And when you think of Shopify, I definitely need to make sure that we're part of that, because we just opened, we've got in beta blackbookstore.com on Shopify. So we've got to figure that out, get some Shopify programmers, but definitely we want to be a part of what it is. Why don't you describe for our audience, because many never have seen or experienced a brother speaking to the president of Walmart, president of Shopify, president of Nike, and the intentionality about what you were doing.
By the way, we've also had, thank you, we also had in this program President Clinton. We've had in prior programs President Bush. We've had at this program Secretary of the Treasury. So we had both administrations. I don't talk to the president currently because I find that to be an inauthentic conversation. But the Treasury Department actually done a good job in this administration. And so we had both political parties involved with this conversation. It's government, community, we have Bishop T.D. Jakes, government, community, the private sector, faith, entertainment. We had T.I., we had Killer Mike. All these folks you got to go from the streets to the suites and back. It's a different kind of conversation that's nonpartisan. That's not about what we're against, it's about what we're for. It's the color green, not the color black and white. It's indicative of Atlanta, because Atlanta, for all of our problems when we were founded, Atlanta's the reason we have we had stopped the Civil War. It was the March to the Sea, that we were that last battle that burned the Confederate confidence down all the way to the sea. And then after that, in Savannah, Georgia, 20 Black people met and they asked, what do you want after slavery? We didn't say we want a handout. We said we want land. I don't know if everybody knows that. That was the beginning of 40 acres and a mule, right down the street in Savannah, Georgia. And that was in 1865. And so in January of 1865, you had 40 acres and a mule. It was called Field Act in 15. Well, 40 acres. And we worked so hard. They said, my God, give them a mule. That was February. And then March came the bank, Freedmen's Bank, 1865, chartered to teach free slaves about money. And then Lincoln was killed in April. That's why we never got the memo, right? It wasn't like we're not dumb and we're not stupid. We're brilliant. When the rules are published and the playing field is level, we excel. Sports, as I mentioned earlier, professional sports and the arts. The rules are published, playing field is level. No one gave us the rules on capitalism and free enterprise. No one's taught us financial literacy. No one's taught us how to become an homeowner, entrepreneur, small business owner, how to build wealth in your sleep. What's the difference between getting rich and getting rich? All of us concerned about getting rich, getting paid, getting that dollar, getting that paper, that which is a getting game, short term versus building wealth. It's a completely two different things. You can be rich today and broke tomorrow. Right. But wealth is a mindset. But you build wealth in your sleep: stocks, bonds, investments, real estate, enhanced education. It's compounding. You build wealth in your sleep. No one's taught us this. So we're on this treadmill over here, just trying to get, which is a short-term game. This is urgency, but the world works on importance. So the urgent is crowded out the important. We're winning battles and losing wars. We're emotional when we should be logical. We're picketing when we should be purchasing. We're picketing on the street when we should be buying a house on the street. Mm-hmm. When you can buy the house at $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, rehab it and rent it for $800 or $1,000 a month, provide affordable housing to your community, and immediately that property is now worth $100,000. You now picked up $40,000 of equity. By the way, I'm the largest minority owner of single-family rental homes in America in 3 years, up from 0 homes I own in 2017, $110 million worth of homes, 700 homes in Atlanta today. So I'm not talking about something that I didn't do. Right, and these are all affordable homes, but I'm also I'm providing residency for my people, affordable housing for my people, and when I want to provide talk about living wage, I'm talking about the contracts I'm giving for plumbing, electrical, landscaping, roofing, painting for the homes that I own. So half of my vendors now are minority vendors because I own it. You see what I'm saying? I don't have to go picket the company that owns it. Picket me. I mean, I can picket myself. I'm talking to myself. I'm making the decision myself. We've just got to have a different kind of conversation. And that's not criticizing anything. As I've already said, civil rights was born in this city. And the only reason America is America, in my opinion, is because of this city. Because without the promise of freedom for everybody, you would not have Indians from India or Chinese from Asia or all these people coming in this country believing that they can do all that they want to do. It was that if they had not kept the promise to Black people in the 60s, the bet for this country would be off. So we are a global power because of us. We have wealth because of us, because slavery was the biggest reverse transfer of wealth in world history because we're the largest economy in the world. But we're not having a rational conversation about this. How do you take all this information and reduce it, as you said, into 3 minutes of a rational conversation where there's a beginning, a middle, and an end? Every problem has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Okay, you're pissed. Now, where's the plan? To what? Give you some prosperity. So you're not what? Pissed anymore. So the forum was our platform to launch a movement that's in the suites and not just the streets, a different kind of conversation. Civil rights that builds on civil rights in what I call the third Reconstruction. I hope I'm not over answering your question.
No, John, let me tell you, the answer is spot on. I don't know if you remember the T&L days.
Oh my God, yeah.
I come back to that. That's when I first encountered you. And you still, back then, I've seen the message evolve from back then when I got involved in T&L back in the late 90s. And if you look above my shoulder, I don't know if you can see it, you see a picture of me on stage with President Clinton and President Bush. And that's to your point where you talk about how we've got to be in those rooms. And for the audience, I didn't get in that room until I got a C in front of my name. So I'm Chief Community Officer for Acorns, which is one of the fastest growing fintech companies in the country. And we speak the same language. So there's a conversation that has to be had about that. But what I really want you to touch on is the one problem I run into, especially in our community, is people want it overnight. I mentioned T&L from the late 90s because back then I was a claim rep at State Farm. And now I'm here. You were a fledgling leader in the community, coming up with great ideas and galvanizing movements, but to see where you started then till now, People need to understand this is a grind. You got to wake up every day in order to make that happen. I'd love to hear you talk about that.
Yeah. So what you're talking about is almost everything. And because slavery did such a hack job on our self-esteem, we want everything now. We want immediate gratification because we don't believe in the future. We may not believe in ourselves. Now, this is real talk now. I think that like before COVID-19, 70% of Black Americans were clinically undiagnosed depressed for good reason. We've been told we ain't nothing for all. I mean, you go down the list, right? And then COVID either it made you more resilient or it made you more depressed, but it pushed you in one direction or the other. And we have a mental health issue that we don't talk about in the Black community that comes from, so confidence is different from competence. So confidence is different from self-esteem. Self-esteem is how I esteem myself. If I don't like me, I'm not going to like you. If I don't feel good about me, I'm not going to feel good about you. If there's somebody watching this program right now and like, bump that dude. Well, why would you say that? You don't even know me.
Right.
That has to be low self-esteem. Right. It got nothing to do with me. Like, I love you whether you love me or not. But why would, if somebody is not saying, that question is not to me, but to them, why? And it's not their fault. This is that crab in the barrel, self-hate, low self-esteem, field Negro from house Negro mentality that was put on us, and we never healed from it. Right. So the part of that, what happens when you're depressed? You want immediate gratification. You want to feel good now. It's an addiction. You want hype all the time. And this is the game that people play. Now the markets, the business, the capitalism is playing this game on us again. We had the game of slavery, then the game of Jim Crow, and now the game of capitalist pimping. So Ambassador Young said, to live in a system of free enterprise and not to understand the rules of free enterprise must be the definition of slavery. In every one of the communities that there's been a shooting or a murder of a Black man by police in the last 3 or 4 years, in every in-neighborhood shooting, meaning the person lived in the neighborhood, it was a 500 credit score neighborhood. 100%. Is that a coincidence, right? Or are these things connected? So now you have a check casher next to a payday loan lender, next to a rent-to-own store, next to a title lender, next to a liquor store, next to a pawn shop, with a church down the street trying to make you feel a little bit better once a week so you can go hoop and holler and get some of that frustration out your body so you don't shoot somebody on Monday because this world's driving you nuts. And you got police that aren't protecting you, they're preying on you, or they're suspecting you. It's an environment designed for stress. It's an environment designed for a surviving mentality. And so what you want out of that is immediacy. So whether it's robbing somebody, selling some drugs, you want a hit record, you want an NBA contract, whatever it is, you want it now. But this is a game because nothing good comes easy and nothing good comes quick. I've been at this, as you know, for 28 years. Now all of a sudden I'm an overnight success. No, I've been at this, and Dr. King was at it for his movement for 13 years. Whoever you admire, y'all been at it. Whoever you admire, you've been on a grind. Now, and I lay all this out in this book, but people are celebrating me now. But people used to roll their eyes at me in my face. You remember? Yep. Financial literacy. Right. Capitalism. And I'm just so tired of this dude. I was at the White House and I had just been named a United Nations Goodwill Ambassador to the US by Geneva, Switzerland, 1998, I think it was. Anyway, I was a young guy and 20-something. And I'd been knighted by Germany. And I was so proud. And I walked in the White House and a Black dude looked at me who worked for President Clinton and said, "Oh, it's the ambassador." This is the receiving line now in the White House. It's the ambassador. I just kept it moving. I just had to ignore the noise. I just had to ignore everything around me. Know that not one ounce of my self-esteem depends on your acceptance of me. You don't define who I am. God already did. So just because you don't get it don't mean I'm not right. So, but that takes self-esteem. Not arrogance, not obnoxious, just I am who I am. And so an eagle don't fly in packs. We need more eagles in our community. We got too many buzzers and too many turkeys. Buzzers love packs and the turkeys got wings and can't even fly.
So John, you touched on this when you brought Dr. King, and I use his speech, "What's Your Life's Blueprint," a lot of times in presentations. And I'd love for you to talk about the road. Now we understand it's not an overnight reality. What's the roadmap from beginning to success?
Hustle. Compounded hustle.
Yep.
Hustle on top of hustle creates more hustle, creates ultimately you outrun your adversary. Look, failure, the devil, Lucifer, is a lazy bastard. Mm-hmm. He's lazy.
Yep.
He feeds on your insecurities, your fears, your arrogance, your obnoxiousness, your frustrations. He feeds on them. He don't want to do any work. He's lazy. And for those who are watching this who want to be inspired, the devil, Lucifer, is a fallen angel, mm-hmm. which means that God is in control. God gives the devil permission to exist. So darkness is nothing, has no definition except for light, and badness is failed goodness. So if you're with the light, if you're with him, if you know you're God's child, then you already won. It's just a matter of when that's going to manifest. But when you get up in the morning, the devil's just say, "Oh shit, he's up." Yeah. I hope I can use that word on your broadcast. I'm sorry. The devil should say, "Oh crap, he or she is up," because he knows he can't affect our self-esteem, our confidence, our belief in ourselves, our grind. We're gonna get up early. We're gonna work late. We're gonna outrun you every single day. I'm as on fire today as I was when I founded this organization. In fact, more so now that I got momentum. I'm hard to kill now. I'm really hard to kill. And so somebody once told me, you got to decide. God's going to ask you a question. You want to be famous or you want to be dangerous? I don't mean dangerous with a gun. I mean dangerous. You want to be famous or you want to be dangerous? If you're really dangerous, you'll get famous, but for the right reasons. But if all you want to do is be famous, you're actually pimpable. Because all you want to do is rock a mic, bounce a basketball, hit a ball. You don't even own your own content. You don't even own you don't own the basketball court. You don't own the football field. You don't own the stadium. You don't own your publishing rights, your music rights. Quincy Jones said, he quoted this book, he headline quoted this book. If you think you're in the music business and you don't own music rights or publishing rights or licensing rights or some kind of rights, you're actually not in the music business. You're a temporary performer. Mm-hmm. Drop the mic. It's a business. Go back to your point earlier. Everything is math. Right. Can't run a church without the math. They need tithes and offering. Mm-hmm. Run your household watching this without math. We don't understand the math. No one ever taught us the math. They convinced us it's not important. What did Malcolm X say? We've been bamboozled. We've been tricked. We've been fooled. Mm-hmm. We've been toyed with. And so I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I'm on a tear, man. I'm on a massive tear to be a disruptor at scale. So
Joy Ito once said that education is what people do to you. Learning is what you do to yourself. Talk about the importance of gaining knowledge every single day.
Well, the importance of gaining knowledge is $110 million net worth of real estate in 3 years.
Mic drop.
I'm running Operation Hope, my broke nonprofit, 95% of my time.
Right.
I'm doing real estate with 5% of my time, and I built a $110 million company with my spare time in 3 years. Mm-hmm. What can I do if I was focused on it? What could you do? And you don't need to do $110 million. Get financially literate, buy 3 homes, 1 to live in, 2 to rent out. Buy it, rehab it, and rent it. Buy it, rehab it, and sell it. Buy, rehab it, and hold it. But that is your generational wealth. Mm-hmm. That's your legacy. That's how you provide social justice with affordable housing for members of your family, people you know. You control your environment, control your narrative. The first wealth creation in this country was real estate. The biggest GDP contributor to gross domestic product in America today is real estate. Right. Real estate and finance is a third of the entire economy. Then you have finance, real estate finance, then healthcare, mm-hmm. right? And then you have a bunch of professional services and then we obsess about $100 billion of a $20 trillion economy, sports mm-hmm. and entertainment. Right. And we control very little of that. Do sports entertainment. I love it. Fantastic. But let's not forget engineering, business management, finance, bankers, investment bankers, healthcare professionals. I mean, the list of bulletproof careers where you can build wealth is unparalleled. That comes from learning, you talked about. When you know better, you do better. A rubber band that's expanded never returns to its original size. You can't pimp me without my cooperation.
Right. But you know, John,
you can't stand on a man's back unless he's bent over.
Right. John, you touched on this, and I love that you always show how there's historical relevance to what we're talking about. You know, the Homestead Act happened, you know, from the late 1860s to the early 1930s. We gave away 246 million acres of land in 160-acre tracts to almost exclusively to white people. And then we want to know why that wealth accumulation, and even when they gave away some of the 40 acres and a mule, they took that back. So when you talk about how wealth is accumulated in this country, that still holds true today.
Yes. No. So look, to reverse this, so we talked about the problem. Let me talk a bit about a solution.
Yes. Yes.
Shopify announced a $127 million commitment at our Hope Global Forum last week to Operation Hope to stand up 1 million new Black businesses and Black entrepreneurs in over 10 years, not 10 months, not 10 weeks, not 1 year. It's not a PR exercise. They made a commitment of almost $130 million, the largest commitment in their history, the second largest e-commerce company in the world behind Amazon, to stand up Black businesses. So I was doing Roland Martin's show when we announced this, and they asked me, what's the catch? What's the hitch? I said, there's a catch. Shopify wants customers for the future. And I love it. They think Black people could platform on their platform and be part of the digital revolution of the future. And I love it. Isn't that what we want? We don't want handouts and charity. We want respect. We're a $1 trillion spending force. Why can't we be a $10 trillion ownership force? You get that only through business. Half of the employees in this country are small businesses. That's why we got social injustice in our neighborhoods. We don't have jobs. We don't have wealth creation. We don't have economics. We don't have ownership. And no one washes rental cars. So if you don't own nothing in your neighborhood, you're not going to vote. You're not going to show up for parent teacher night. You're not going to show up for a PTA. You're not going to show up to the tax abatement meeting in the county. You may not even know what it is, right? You don't care, right? So again, nobody washes rental cars. We got to start becoming owners. Think about it. What do you do in a rental car? Nicest people in the world. Drive it till the wheels come off. It's got dirt all on it. Just enough clean for the windshield wipers you can see, and you return it to its owner so they can wash it. We got too many people in our neighborhoods. We're just spectators in a capitalist world. We're spectators, and we got to. You need to be. I said in my book, you got to be a hunter. A skinner, or a cook. You can't be a spectator. You can't. We are spectators. We on social media talking about other people's business. We talking about this. Are we a shareholder? Do we get some money? Are they paying us to amplify their message? What do we get out of this? Are we just wasting our time? We got to turn this dumb phone back into a smartphone. This is a computer in your hand. Everything you need to know is right here. So Shopify's commitment to us is, our commitment together is for free. Now, this is simple now. You go into the portal, Hope1MBB, or operational.org. You go in the portal, put you in Hope, in a Hope Business in the Box, small business training program or entrepreneurship training program. You do a business plan online, all free. We get your credit score up. All free. We're raising credit scores 54 points in 6 months and 100 points in 24 months. We graduate you free. You then now have a certificate of Operation Hope that certifies you, Hope certified. You now go into Shopify's portal. Listen now, domain name search free. Website security, a web portal security free. Website free. E-storefront free. Payment system free. 4-month Shopify license, free. Order fulfillment, free. Delivery system, free. You make your first sale, they give you a credit line. Did you hear that? not based on your credit, not based on your net worth, not based on a second on your trust deed on your house. What are black people good at? Selling. Okay. You make a sale, you get a credit line against the sale. You make another sale, you get another credit line, right? It's transformational. Then we're going to put an accountant next to you. We're going to put a business manager next to you. We're going to put an insurance rep, a volunteer bank. These people are volunteer professionals who believe that a good number of these business owners will win. And when they win, they're going to give you 2 hours of free consulting. But if you win, aren't you going to hire a CPA? You're going to hire a lawyer. You're probably going to hire the person who donated time to you. Again, this is from philanthropy to business at scale.
Come on, Munson.
I'm enjoying my brother because I was so impressed, Kevin. I'm sitting here. It's not a fact that he kept it to himself. Most people have it and they're not going to distribute it. You don't even get in the room to hear a conversation with a brother that's meeting with Mikey. We have no idea the conversation that happened with the NFL and Jay-Z. We didn't get to hear that conversation. When you sit back and somebody's willing to have a conversation out front with a CEO, then I believe. But when you say I had it behind closed doors, I'm not so sure. You didn't have Andrew Young to say this is, then your moral compass on black people winning, I'm not certain. And I really believe that when I looked at it, I was like, yes, this is a movement. This is a moment. And our community needs to know how important you sitting next to somebody who runs multi-billion-dollar businesses is important for young brothers to sit and know more than anything. They probably haven't seen you yet, but growing up, they'll know that they too can sit next to it. And to me, that's what touched my soul the most. Not that, oh, no, he let me see and hear and understand and actually promote for our community.
By the way, first of all, you said something which even I hadn't thought about. Actually, I hadn't thought about the private meetings people have with whomever, or I hadn't thought about the fact that Jay-Z was who I think is a good guy, was in a private, whoever it is. I hadn't thought about these meetings are private. You don't know what they say, but that's right. There's no transparency. But if you also notice, Munson, there was no script on any of these conversations. There were no cue cards. We weren't reading from teleprompters. We were just having a conversation, and anybody can go back and watch any of the content. We made it all free online. It's a free flowing conversation, and I didn't throw them softball questions. It was a straight up serious conversation. Oftentimes a little, I guess could be uncomfortable, but of course they weren't uncomfortable because I put on people who I thought were real. Now, what my nephew said, Bunsen, about 1 Million Black Business Initiative and the conference is this: he's a 20-year-old Black man. So he's the generation we're trying to affect the most, people who watch your platform obsessively. He said, John, before 1MBB in this conference, young Black people who know me would say, look at your uncle, me, and say, how did he do that? He's an entrepreneur. How did he do that? But now they're saying, why am I not doing that? That's the movement. It's not, I don't think everybody's going to be an entrepreneur, everybody's going to be a business owner. That's not the point. It's a software upgrade of how we see ourselves, possibilities. If you don't believe it, dream it. You certainly ain't going to become it. And when he said it goes from how did he do it to why aren't we doing it? At least they know they can do it now. Right. And now you can get into the room of a CEO or whoever it is and have a conversation.
No, it's beyond that, because you're saying get in the room. People get in the onesies, but you demonstrated how an entire 2 days of consciousness and a Black man who put together a business agenda to have business conversations with brands and companies that most people will only consume at, not suggest how they should move, respect, and make economic demands, because we are receipt shareholders. Most of us just won't do the other conversion, invest in these same companies. If you eat at Nike or if you eat at Walmart, buy your food there, wear Nikes, then you should buy their stock. Let them work for you. Just as a principle.
I love that. Receipt shareholders. That's some wisdom.
That's me, receipt. But we are receipt shareholders who have too few demands and two applications of even owning companies that we are receipt shareholders in. They spend less than 2% of their dollars advertising with the consumer. Less than 2%.
One share, you have a right to get all their financial information. Mm-hmm. One share.
It's like the new iPhone 12 just launched. And I'm telling people, anyone who will listen, it's cool to have an iPhone, but why don't you own some Apple? I mean, $1,000 right now, that's 9 shares in Apple.
So you can buy fractional stock as well, by the way. And if you can only own, you have 20.
Acorns.com, you invest and save in small amounts. Fractional shares is a part of it. So I can tell you straight up, I live it every single day. But the point is what we're talking about. Ownership matters. Having a seat at the table matters. Being able to get in those rooms and get that financial information and then leverage it so that you can then build, that's what matters.
So Kevin Munson, I'm gonna now give both of you a compliment through our work. So we have a youth financial literacy program. We have 4 million clients at Operation Hope. We educated like 1.5 million kids in financial literacy across the country. And we're the largest one we do in the country. And this young man named Derek, I'll say this quickly, went through our program, financial literacy, in Detroit. And I was there as an observer, the 3rd session, and he was graduating. And by the 3rd session, he went from wearing baggy pants to wearing his Sunday suit. Role modeling the banker who came in wearing a suit, right? But he started out with these baggy pants, saying that, what's up. And third session, 3rd week, he's wearing a suit, and he's sitting there, and he's graduating, he's smiling, he graduates from the class. I think it was the 4th session, actually. He's walking down the hallway. Friends like, hey, man, what you doing hanging out with those people? What you doing with that suit? Hey, ain't nothing. What you doing? So I grabbed them together, and I said, look, you guys, I'm going to give you $70 each. Make a decision about Nike, right? And the 2 of his friends said, oh, that's easy, man. We're going to get us some Air Jordans, $30. And Derek says, well, that's cool. I want to share a Nike stock. And the friends, so this is culture now, the low self-esteem, crab in the barrel, all this stuff with all the stuff we're talking about. His friends said, oh man, what you want to buy some stupid stuff? You need you some everybody's got Air Jordans, fuchsia Air Jordans, purple Air Jordans, leather Air Jordans, suede Air Jordans, yesterday's Air Jordan. Everybody got it, and they were on them. And I said, hey man, stop. And Derek says, no, it's cool. I want them to buy those shoes.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Me money.
That's right.
Yes. That's our shareholder. Just what Munson said.
Yes.
Receipts.
Yes.
Receipt stakeholdership. His whole mentality shifted. So he may be broke, but he'll never be poor.
Right. I love that.
Cool. Well, we appreciate you coming on and seat at the table. We won't take any more of your time today, but we do want to make sure that we keep you coming back because the conversation is great. Let's make it about the book next time. I think a good holiday conversation to talk about the book, to kind of give insight about the book and allow the community. We'll plan it, give you a couple weeks to prepare, and then we'll kind of walk through it so individuals can understand, because we have one Peace and Purpose conference coming up, so we want to get you there, but we want people to be able to reset in December, really reset your mind and understand, shift your purpose, understand, hear the books that you need to go with, hear individuals understand why you put it in a book, so that they have a course and they can understand how to get up. So thank you so much, John.
Yeah, my new book's about mindset. It's 100% about mindset. So that is where we need to go next as we're going into 2021. And I love next to you, man. It's nothing but books, Munson. I love that. Smart sexy, man. Yeah. You made it sexy for too long. We've dumbed down and celebrated it. You're making smart. Both of you making smart sexy again.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming on. We'll see you soon. Give you about 2 weeks. But thanks again, because you are definitely changing our community's spiritual mindset and actually the soul of our community. Thank you so much.
Deeply honored. One love.
One love. Kevin, great conversation. We will see you again
Yeah, money. We definitely got to talk. Talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Thank you. You do not have to be in the streets, everybody. This is Munson Steed and Kevin Hooks, but you must be in the struggle. We'll see you tomorrow on A Seat at the Table. Thank you.